Hi and welcome to a new series that I'm making on how to make your own basic platformer in Fancade. So, this tutorial should be aimed at beginners on coding or people that want to code but do not know absolutely anything about coding in general. So let's just start with a basic game. I already have one made in here, but for you to make one, just press this button that says new game. And then we're gonna change the name. So we're gonna change it to basic platformer for the sake of this tutorial. And now we're gonna edit, and we're gonna first design the player. So you grab a physics box because this game will be physics, and then you grab a set gravity, a place sensor, and a vector. Don't mind that get velocity. I made it incorrectly. We also grab a script block and a set object. This is just for setting the environment to be 2D. So first we take the script block and we rename it and we edit it and then rename it. Instead of the script block, we're gonna add this place sensor, then connect a set gravity to the place sensor, and then connect a vector to the set gravity with the number 0, 0, minus 10. And then we're gonna set the player. So for the player, you'll need to remove all the glue that's in the sides, because we're not want the player bigger than this block we have in here. So let me just quickly do that. Okay, nice. You don't have to worry for the insides because nothing is gonna touch the insides. So now we're gonna rename this physics box to player, and we open it and grab the set object. It's the set object variable, and we rename it to global p. Global because we're gonna use it out of the player. So now if we play the game, we'll see that that the physics are in 2D now, and the gravity is going to the negative z axis instead of the negative y axis. So first things first, I'm just gonna make a basic level, just test the movement and all sorts of other stuff. Okay, nice. We got a simple level. But for now we cannot do anything because there's no way to control the player. So we're gonna do that now. So if you don't have now you get out of the game because we're gonna look for something. And if you don't have it, we're gonna look for the virtual gamepad by Martin Magny. If you don't have it, then go to blocks and it should be immediately in your point of view. So press edit. I'm not gonna do it because I already have it, and then go back to the game. Now enter to the script you got here. Be sure to place it in the right corner of the entire level for everything to load, for everything to preload before the script starts. And then you just got to enter to the script and grab from the virtual gamepad. You need to grab a 3-button camera setting position gamepad. So you're gonna place it in here without connecting it to the place sensor, because if you do, then you're not gonna be able to move the player at all. And then you get if statements to connect those to the gamepads. So these if statements are just to say when the button is touched or not. And for the camera position and camera rotation, we're gonna before everything else set the camera position. So the position of the camera in this case is gonna be the position of the player. So you gotta get a get position and a get variable and a get object variable. Then you're gonna get object and rename it p. And now you connect that to the position of the camera. Don't connect the rotation. Don't connect it. this game is gonna be top down, so you don't connect it, just don't connect it. So you take a rotation block and place the values 900 in it, and for the distance we're gonna go with 60. So now if you try it, you'll see that the camera goes to where the player is. Nice. And now that we have all of this set up, we can just copy these two things and connect them to the back of the gamepad. I normally like to clean my code up. And there we go. We have basic. Now the controls show up. But there's something. They don't do absolutely nothing. So because this is a physics game, we're gonna use the physics tab, even though the physics are totally buggy. So we're gonna grab a add force and a set velocity. We're gonna look for the wire that says left. So and we look for the if statement that's connected to the wire, and then we connect a add force to the true wire of that statement. Then we're gonna connect the player variable, obviously, and then we're gonna deal a force to 10,0,0. Oh, sorry, I did 0,0,10 to 10,0,0. That'll make a force to the right. And I just realized I made the force to the right, so I'm just gonna negate it. Lol. Now I just copied it. Now I just do the same exact thing. Copy it and negate the number. And as you can see, we have basic movement. But yeah, that's something. So you see that the block just got in 3D space, right? And this game is 2D. We need to look for a way for that to not happen. So for that, there is the setlock button. Sorry, the setlock block, the script block. So we're gonna connect it to play sensor because these types of scripts should be always run up on play only. And we're gonna stick into it a zero rotation and position 101. Why 101? Because the position will unlock them in the C and X axis, and the rotation will completely lock the player. The player will not rotate, only move. And as you can see, it works nicely. Well, yeah, we got problems with the physics, but we're not gonna go to them now. Now we need to wait for the player to jump because we cannot pass that gap over there if we cannot jump now. Look, I want to pass the gap, but I can jump. So first for that we have the set velocity, which I'm gonna just connect to this, and I'm gonna set the player object and deal a force to 5 up. Only 5 to C axis, or 0,05 in this case. So as you can see, we can press the button, but we can fly in the air, which defeats the entire purpose of this platformer. So to fix that out, we're gonna disconnect the set velocity, and we're gonna drag a raycast. A raycast is a specific type. It's a special type of script that detects if something hidden. If the ray is from one position to another is hitting something. If it does, then you do anything. If not, so this thing has 2 inputs: the from and the to. The from will be the position of the player, so you can just copy this out and place it in here. And the to will be the position of the player plus a specific vector. That means relative to the player. So we're gonna do a 0.51 because that's the closest you can get to the floor because that's the closest you can get to the floor, and well, that's the closest you can get to the floor without the raycast stopping to work. And now you connect the set velocity to the raycast, to the true of the raycast. And now if you try this out, we can see that, wait a second, you cannot jump. Oh, it's because I'm throwing the raycast up. Let me fix that out. Okay, and now you can jump, which is pretty nice. So, oh god. So now we're gonna make a basic win block because there's actually no way to win, and a basic lose system because the same. Okay, so first we're gonna start with the loose system because it's the easiest one to do. So to do this, we're gonna say if the position of the player, specifically the C position of the player, is below 0, then loose. How do we get the C position specifically? Well, we use a break vector. This thing breaks a vector into 3 pieces that are all 3 numbers. So we use a less than, and we're gonna add the other end of the one end of the S of the less than to the C and the other end to 0. And then we got an if statement, and we say if true, then loose. This checks for if the player is below the 0 in the C, as I told you last time. And so, if it is true, then loose. Let me try this out. And it works, nice. Now the win. The win is kind of more complex, I guess. So, first we're gonna make a win block, and we're gonna unglue it on all sides because if not, the raycast will mess up. And let me just, I'm gonna glue it. Boom, nicely done. So now we only need the block like this because you're not gonna look over. But we can maybe set that in camera soon, but not now. For now, we're just gonna get a 2D complete camera. So we're gonna enter into, rename the block. We're gonna enter inside of the win block, and we're gonna say, we're gonna throw a raycast from the position of the thing, from the position of the block. In that case, I just grab a set position. Well, I get position actually, and I connect the get position object wire to the same object I'm talking about. I mean, this kind of, for the programmers in C, this refers, for the programmers there's in C, Python, and all that stuff that has classes, this refers to self, which is nice. And every single block that has script in it is a class. Yeah, it's kind of considered like a class. So now we're gonna check below that block, and if it's true, well, actually over the block, so that means 0.55 without negating. And now if it's true, then we're gonna win. But this is kind of inefficient because this thing checks for absolutely everything to be over the block. So if we place a physics sphere, we're gonna immediately win because this thing doesn't specifically check for the player, it just checks for something. So to see specifically for the player, we're gonna take a equal objects, and we're gonna take an if statement. Also a get position, obviously a get object, sorry. And now we're gonna connect the equal objects to the kid object output because there's 3 outputs in this thing. And then we're gonna stick the get object to the get object with the player reference to the equal objects. Then we're gonna connect an if statement to it, and the if statement to the other if statement. And then we connect the win to the if statement that checks for the player. And so if we run, we don't win. We need to go there to win. And yeah, we got this in pretty much, I don't know, I'm gonna see in edits. we got it, nice. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the first episode on the series. I'm gonna remove this physics very quickly. That's it for the first episode, because soon we're gonna add some other things like moving platforms and or enemies or whatever. But for now we are stuck with this. So yeah. This is everything that we got in this episode. So yeah, thanks for watching and have a good day. See ya.